the reason we're here. Emergency scheduled pod time. Rafael Devers hit his 500th career extra base hit. It was a
Breaking news.
massive home run. Devers is all over the news today for exactly that giant milestone. Devers at the age of 28 is just off to an incredible start to his career. Almost 28 career WAR. Good player. Clearly the Red Sox are happy to have him locked down long term. Hold on. I just got a notification on trade rumors. Oh my, Gautam, you're never gonna believe this.
Tell me.
Rafael Devers did it again. He's in the news twice today. He just got traded to the San Francisco Giants like an hour ago. The game just ended 3 hours ago. He legitimately did reach a major milestone today. The Red Sox tweeted a big thing about it themselves, made a big deal on social media, and then boom. You get something Murray. The guy from
Robert Murray.
Robert Murray. There we go. We get a Robert Murray bomb that Rafael Devers has been traded to the San Francisco Giants for Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, James Tibbs, and Jose Bayo. This is mid-June.
Yeah, this is shocking. I cannot think off the top of my head of a more shocking trade in the last, while.
I mean,
it just came out of nowhere too.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with it is I could think of other big trades like this, but never that I hadn't heard rumors about them before, and then it just happened for a player that was making over $100 million.
Yeah, and the trade of this magnitude also doesn't just come together overnight. I assume the Giants and the Red Sox have been working on this for days, if not weeks, because it's not like just some regular old trade that you can make within a couple hours.
Yeah. Now, I know we've talked about Devers and the Red Sox quite a few times so far this year, but I do think maybe this warrants a quick refresher on everything. So while this is a very out of the blue mid-June blockbuster trade of a guy who still has 8
years
8 years left on his contract
after the season. Yeah.
$312 million contract that he signed with Boston, and now a mere 2 years later he is being traded. And before the season there was a big ordeal with him not wanting to move off a third base because that was his position. Red Sox were trying to find another third baseman just to help improve the lineup, and keep Devers in the lineup, not replace him at all, but complement him. And he took offense to it. He didn't want to move positions. He thought about requesting a trade when Alex Bregman was signed. Then he settled into his role at DH. Things were quiet for a bit. Then Tristan Casas went down with an injury, and there was an opening at first base. They were about to get Masataka Yoshida back. They were about to get a couple other guys back that was going to kind of clog up the lineup, and they still had a blatant hole at first base. So the logical question, will Devers play first base? And they didn't necessarily ask him, but he made some comments about, now they're going to ask me to go do this. I don't play every single position. Like first base and center field are the same thing.
And he also called out the president of baseball operations, Craig Breslow, at that time. And that's where you could kind of see, things are not ideal in that relationship between executive and player. star player. And then that's obviously the thing that's led into this trade. It's been brewing, but yeah, those are all the events that kind of led up to it over
Well,
the last several months.
and then Alex Bregman went down. So now there's an opening at third base. Devers' natural position he didn't want to move off of. But instead of igniting this whole conversation again, they brought up Marcelo Meyer to debut, play third base. He's been over there. They've had Rob Refsnyder and Abraham Toro at first base. And the club has been really struggling to win consistently. Like they're a good club with a good rotation. They've got really good hitters in their lineup. Things just were not clicking, and now we see this trade, and it feels like to me that you do not do this trade if that relationship has any chance of being repaired. Like at this
Totally. Yeah. I
point,
mean, it's a star player, and star players do not get traded under these type of circumstances a lot. Um, Typically, when a star gets traded, it's like they're on an expiring contract. They're not going to re-sign with the team. It's trade deadline. The team's kind of out of it. The Red Sox are not even out of the playoff chase. Really, they've actually won 5 games in a row. They just swept the Yankees over the weekend. Um, they're within games of being in the playoff hunt, and now they've traded their best player. That's obviously a very odd occurrence that's driven by unusual circumstances.
yeah, like the Red Sox are above 500. So while I did say that they're not able to win consistently, like the thing is just that they're not at the top of the division where they thought they were going to be. And so yeah, you're exactly right. There is one trade that I could think of in the somewhat recent past that is not a great comp, but it's the closest thing that I could think of. And that is the Arenado trade. Like the
Yeah,
Arenado trade, he still had like 2 or 3 more years on his deal.
it was more
Um,
than that, right? What do you mean? It
oh
was
yes,
like,
it was 6. Like he had just signed a new
yeah,
contract.
he just signed the
Yeah,
contract, so it's
it,
very
it
similar.
it was like 6 years, but the Rockies were dead in the water, like abysmal,
Yeah,
and so there was a little bit more of a reason to trade him,
he
and
asked
he
for the trade too,
specifically
right?
asked for the trade. Yeah,
Yeah,
which definitely removed any leverage that the Rockies had, and that's why the Rockies got such a bad return.
yeah. Well, the Red Sox, to take it back a few more years before this whole Devers situation, there's other precedent of the Red Sox, I guess, not being able to handle their star player properly, and just it's kind of like it's repeating the bet situation, but obviously in a slightly different form. But they weren't able to keep Mookie Betts. They ended up trading him, in
So,
an off season.
who was the GM that ultimately drafted Mookie? Was it?
Epstein.
It was Theo.
Yep.
So both guys then basically had a situation where they were there under one guy. That guy got fired and replaced, or Theo left, but
Yeah.
went to the Cubs. But anyway, Heim Bloom is the one who signed Devers to the big deal. Then Heim Bloom got fired. He's now taking over the Cardinals. And now, 2 years later with Breslow, is when we're having this situation. So it kind of seems like Boston really just needs to get a superstar and Bebops and just get them married and then leave them alone. Because
Well,
it
that's
seems
what
like it's
those
the
other
front office
situations are
changes.
supposed to be, right? Because typically, if a guy's going to sign a guy to a big deal, he probably expects like he's going to stick around. Like nobody's signing a huge contract for a guy and then expecting to leave like the next year. He
Yeah.
got let go, and we've talked about the Heim Bloom situation plenty of times, and that's a whole nother topic with the Red Sox and their quick firings of executives that have just won World Series for them. Uh, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, it's, but yeah, it's a good point that once the new executive is in town, they don't really care about what the last guy did. That's not their problem. They're doing the thing that they think is best for the team going forward. And clearly, uh, Craig Breslow is not feeling like this Devers situation could work out for the
Yeah.
Red Sox.
Well, and I mean, you could even tell that things were definitely different with Breslow than with time at the beginning of all this situation in spring when they were possibly going to get a third baseman. Because at the time, Devers was like, well, when they signed me to this deal, they told me that I was just going to be their third baseman, period. It's my job until I can't do it anymore. And that was part of the reason that he was all pissy. And understandable, but it does seem like he doesn't understand that just because one person promised you something doesn't mean everyone's going to honor that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I
So
am
what does it
curious
mean?
to see what this
Go ahead.
means with him going and being essentially brought in by Buster Posey.
Wait, can we just finish up on the Red Sox
Yes.
side first and then go over to the Giants? So, what does this mean exactly for the 2025 and beyond Red Sox? Because right now, it kind of obviously in the immediate, it frees up that logjam that they have with the lineup because they've got all these young players. Roman Anthony just got promoted this past week. Marcelo Myers up. You got Cedon Rafaela. You got
Christian
Christian
Campbell
Campbell. You got like four young stud players that are supposed to be the long term future of the Red Sox. Now
still
they've
got
all got positions
still got
and they can
Jaron
all play them.
Duran.
We've got Jaron Duran. I mean, this team's not bad by any means. They are not as good as they were hours ago because they're missing an elite, like top 10 hitter in the game.
And
But
Bregman's still hurt.
Bregman's still hurt. But I want to see. I've been very um, concerned about the handling of these young players because I've seen so many situations where it seems like the young players don't get deployed properly. Like they get platooned, they get sent up and down. They don't like get the full run of playing time. And when we're talking about elite prospects, I think these guys need to play every single day. I've seen Marcelo Meyer get subbed out as a pinch hitter with pinch hitters when a left-handed pitcher comes in. Like you don't do that with top prospects, in my opinion. And I hope that Alex Cora can just say, plug and play these four guys every single day, because they're supposed to be like superstars. They're supposed to be star players.
Yeah. I'm I'm really curious here to see. I think this move basically does open up more playing time for these guys.
It does. It
I
should.
think there were maybe two reasons for it that this is definitely me just kind of assuming the situation that's going on, but I think part of it is to remove the clubhouse cancer because that situation with all these young guys around is basically like playing with a lighter in a room full of gunpowder. Like you don't want to give these guys the impression that the club hates the players and nobody gets along, yada yada yada. You want a cohesive group where these guys can be nurtured into becoming the superstars that you want them to be. And right now, Devers is not helping anybody get to that level. And so like it's kind of like where and I realize I'm talking a lot about Arenado, but I do feel it's a very similar situation. He was possibly getting traded this offseason to Boston because in his own words last year, he was not playing well, and when he is not playing well, he is not a good person to be around in a clubhouse. That was Arenado's words about Arenado. And I think Devers is the exact same thing, and so getting him out of there, out of that room with these three is massive. The other part of
Yep.
it is to open up some more playing time when Bregman comes back because you're going to end up moving. I don't know. I kind of wonder if they'll move Bregman to first.
Why?
Let Marcelo stay at third.
Yeah. we'll see how that shakes out. I don't think they would move Bregman to first. Like he's an elite third base defender.
I mean, yeah,
He's the guy you want playing third.
okay. Just me thinking out loud here. What about moving almost 33-year-old Trevor Story to first base? Marcelo plays short, which is his natural position. Bregman stays at third.
Yeah, I'm better with that
Okay,
idea.
let's do that. I will send that note over to Craig Breslow here after the pod.
Yeah, I guess I see your point about the distraction of this whole situation hanging over the team, but I mean, it's not like it was affecting Devers' performance though. The
It
guy was
wasn't
like
affecting Devers'
amazing.
performance,
Yeah,
but we're not worried about Devers' performance.
but the good performance like helps the team, so you cannot minimize his contribution to the team. That they he's still a value to like he was still a value to the Red Sox no matter what distraction he was creating, right?
He was, but my point is that this trade allows them to potentially fill another hole that they have, which right now is healthy starting pitchers, um, while also removing some of the distraction. So they're hoping that the extra depth in the rotation will help them stabilize that part of the club without losing it. Basically that'll offset what they're losing from Devers, and then hoping that consistent playing time from these young mega prospects will help offset the offense. So
Yeah,
it's a big gamble. It's exactly
it
what it is
is.
a massive gamble. But I think as far as Breslow and Cora are concerned, this is a big weight off their shoulders. And I think it's going to, you'll see this club, I think, be a little bit more fun, a little bit more easygoing here in the next couple weeks. Um, that's just my prediction.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out for this team because yeah, it's so risky because despite all the talent that they have, young talent, what's the likelihood that any one of these guys is going to be as good a player as Rafael Devers? It's like super low. So you don't just replace a superstar and that superstar has so much outsides value to the overall of the team. And there's no guarantee that they'll be able to like go out in free agency and sign Kyle Tucker because they have to go compete against other teams trying to do the same thing.
Yeah. Now, this is going to be a very interesting story to watch unfold. This is now going to be the story of Boston for the next 3 years. It's going to
Yeah.
be exactly like when Mookie was traded to the Dodgers. Just after that, it's, well, we should have never traded him. We should have just signed him to the big money. We should have just let Devers do whatever he wanted to do and worked around it. It's going to be the same conversation.
Yeah. But for this year, it seems like they're well way worse off than they would have been, and maybe they're sort of throwing in the towel for this season.
It- yes and no. I think they're
It's not a full punt, but it's like, yeah, we recognize that we're facing an uphill battle to make the
it's
playoffs.
it's taking the sack to go back 3-17.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, they could still get it done, but it's a long shot. Um, but no, there are some good pieces that Boston got back from San Francisco here as well. Let's not completely forget about that side of the trade. So they just got Jordan Hicks to come in and help bolster their rotation. They
Probably
got
bullpen, right?
Kyle
'Cause he
Harrison.
got moved.
Oh, did he get moved to the
Hicks
bullpen
got
again?
he got moved to the bullpen, and he's on the injured list right now.
Oh, that's awkward.
He's not been good, but
Well,
he'll be good as a
that part I could have
he'll be
guessed.
good as a reliever though, I think, and
Hell,
they probably
he
need
wasn't
that.
the first time.
Yeah,
So are you sure it's going to work better the second time?
I don't know.
But and then they also got Kyle Harrison, who was the biggest pitching prospect in San Francisco of like the last 10 years. And he's
Yeah.
not been incredible at the major league level. But he's been solid for
Yeah.
like um definitely depth. Um but then they got two prospects as well. One of them a pitching prospects that I don't really know, the something Bayo. Not Brian Bayo. He is still on their club though, and he's healthy now. Um, but James Tibbs is the big one. He was the first round pick by the Giants last year, out of Florida State. Um, he's an outfielder, which their outfield is a little
A
bit
little
full now.
occupied. Yeah.
So we'll have to see what that ends up being.
But it probably doesn't matter. He's still at like high A or something. He's probably a few years away.
Yeah, he was a college bat though, so if he starts hitting, he'll probably jump up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
But it feels so underwhelming on the surface because it's like, okay, you trade superstar, you get a interesting starting pitcher, you get a pretty good reliever, and then you get one good prospect and one just filler guy. And it's like this does not feel like enough, but I think when you factor in the money offset, it probably makes more sense because the Giants are taking on the full 275 million, 250 million, I think, remaining on Devers' deal for the next 8.5 years.
yeah, and that's huge for Boston. That does open up quite a bit of money to go out and get a Kyle Tucker, if the ownership will allow Breslow to do that. And we know what the ownership did with Heim Bloom. They hamstrung him into getting himself fired, basically. And then they gave his job to him 2.0. So,
Yeah,
like, we'll see how that goes. But they did just open up a lot of money. Um,
a lot of
so
theoretical money. Yeah,
yeah. Uh, then let's look at this from the other side though. So
yeah.
San Francisco is taking on a superstar. Third baseman hasn't played in the field yet this year. Do they put him at third base and do something with Casey Schmidt?
There's
Well,
no
I guess
point,
they
right?
they
Because
have Matt Chapman on the
Chapman.
IL. So no,
Yeah.
I guess you wouldn't do that.
It would be hilarious to me if Devers ends up playing first base because the Giants urgently need a first baseman. They've actually recently DFA'd Lamont Wade and traded him to the Angels. They brought in Dom Smith. Obviously, Bryce Eldridge is getting close to his promotion. So I think ultimately Devers is just going to be the DH for the Giants.
Yeah, most likely. And to be honest, I think that's probably the best spot for him anyway.
It is, yeah. He's a DH.
But so we definitely won't see Elliot Ramos taking any DH at bats now. So he'll be out in the field every day, which I think he was anyway for the most part. But
Yeah.
although I didn't realize how many injuries San Francisco is dealing with right now. Andrew Kisner is essentially their starting catcher at the moment.
Oh, is Bailey hurt?
Yeah. So Pat Bailey, 10-day IL on 7th. So he'll be eligible to return in 2 days with a strained neck. So, and then Tom Murphy is also on the injured list. So they have two catchers down, and they're rocking Logan Porter and Andrew Kisner. But anyway, so now this Giants team, which is doing very well, they're
Yeah.
second place, only one game behind the Dodgers for first place in the West, and they now are rocking out a lineup with the top four of Jung-Hoo Lee, Elliot Ramos, Rafi Devers, and a finally starting to turn it around Willie Adames.
That's
That is,
amazing. That's so good.
and then
Yeah.
when Chapman's back, then you have Matt Chapman. This is the single best lineup we have seen out of San Francisco since 2014.
Yeah. And they just yeah, getting Devers is huge for this team because how many episodes have we spent talking about the Giants not being able to secure a big star? I mean, they got Adames and they got Chapman, but those guys to me, they're like
They're
a
second tier.
definitely like a they're second tier. They're not superstars. They're good players, very very good players. And I have no issue with them being signed to long term deals. But Devers is on a different level than those players. And let's just think about all those free agents that they've tried to sign in the Zaidi era. They tried to sign like Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge, and probably Manny
Carlos
Machado,
Correa.
Carlos Correa. There's probably some other guys I missed there, but they've swung and missed, swung and missed. They almost got Correa, but they dodged a bullet, sort of. But yeah, it's like now they controlled this situation. With the trade, you can just go out and get the guy you want, give up the assets in terms of players or money or whatever. But yeah, it's absolutely like the missing piece for this Giants team because they've done so well on the pitching side now this year. That's the reason why they're successful. Their offense needs that boost. It needs that superstar hitter. I think it's going to transform this lineup and the team.
I think so too. So is it crazy to think that this in year one for uh Buster
Buster,
Posey, this might be the move that like defines his career as
yes,
a president of baseball ops. Like,
I think so because it's not like he can go out now and probably sign another free agent of this caliber. I mean, maybe they can down the road, but for the next few years, when Devers is like in his prime, he's the guy, right?
yeah. I mean, I think they definitely still have some money to spend. 'Cause it feels like San Francisco is at the point where they're ready to just go spend with the not with the Dodgers, but like with the Mets, spend on that
Yeah,
level and try and win another championship. And it's looking like Posey is he's definitely doing things different than Farhan. It seemed like Farhan relied only on his spreadsheets, and I know that this is a slam dunk. Obviously, you should make this move if you can, no matter what. Like, statistics be damned, it's gonna work out statistically for you, and
you
you're
got the
giving
best
up.
player. As simple as that,
Yeah,
right?
and you're giving up. I mean, a decent amount, but not $250 million that you feel very comfortable giving out. So, like, this is a slam dunk move, and like, I kind of think that San Francisco is now setting themselves up to win a World Series in the next 3 years.
Yeah,
I
it
still
looks
have a
good.
lot of questions with their pitching staff right now. They are back to a 4-man rotation right now. With Kyle Harrison out, they are down to Webb, Landon Rupp, uh, Robbie Ray, Hayden
Birdsong.
Birdsong,
Yeah, no,
and
but I
JV's
guess
on the IL.
I want to give them credit for what they've done with the pitchers because some of those guys are not heralded guys like Hayden Birdsong and Landon Roop, but they're actually like they've got a ton out of them. It seemed like Harrison himself was like making a lot of adjustments, pitching better of late. So it's like they clearly feel kind of confident that they can develop pitchers. That's why you trade one of the guys because you feel like you can get another one from your system, and maybe that happens.
Yeah.
Um, I'm I'm happy with the trade. Like I have no I love this trade for the Giants.
And you said that Joey Lucchesi was actually pitching today?
He was, yeah.
So they added him to the 40 man then today because he was not on the 40 man as of this morning. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it'll be interesting to see if they keep him up and try and use him, or if this was more of a he was rested, we need somebody right now, and then they're going to turn to Mason Black or Keaton Wynn and give them another chance, or go to Carson Seymour or Trevor McDonald, one of those guys that hasn't really pitched in the majors yet. Um, so they do have some guys that are there at AAA that are pretty much ready, as ready as you could be. So I'm excited for the rest of the season for this club.
Hmm. Yeah.
I
I think I had more questions about their lineup, and this is clearly the biggest move that anybody's going to make in the trade deadline to improve their lineup.
Yeah. Is it crazy to think that maybe the Giants are going to win the division? Is that crazy?
A little crazy, but the fact that they're one game out in like mid June tells me that they're kind of in it.
We just we just need Pat Bailey's bat to actually start doing something when he comes back from the injured list.
Yeah, yeah.
He is statistically the second best catcher in Major League Baseball defensively. Just need his bat to be somewhere average. And this team, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. And then just like from a historical perspective, the Giants haven't had a 30 home run hitter in like since like Barry Bonds or something from their outfield, I think. And maybe from their entire
I
team.
was gonna say, I think from their entire team.
Maybe from their entire team.
Is
So it's
because after that, like Posey was never a 30 homer guy.
nope. Yeah.
And they didn't really have any big mashers. They were very much like a small ball team with Crawford, with Brandon Belt, with I mean, I guess Brandon Belt was probably like the biggest power guy they had.
Yeah, he definitely had power, but he never played enough to be able to get to 30 home runs was a problem with him.
So he had 29 home runs in
Oh,
2021.
he probably that was the year where
It was
all the Giants
it was
went
the old guy
crazy.
season.
And he probably didn't even play that many games that season. He was unreal in that season.
97 games that
Yeah,
season.
his power is astronomically high. Uh, but like Devers hit his 15th home run today. So he's going to be like that 30 homer guy. I guess you can't technically count it because it's not a full season with the Giants. But just their ballpark does not play well for homers, but Devers is like an elite power hitter. He's not going to probably be limited too much.
So the really fun thing to me about Devers going and playing in San Francisco now, the splash hit counter is finally going to up.
Yeah.
Because that splash hit counter is like still only like 50 or something. And Devers, left-handed hitter with power. This is potentially going to be the biggest thing for the splash zone in San Francisco.
Absolutely.
And that is clearly the reason you make the trade. Because Levi Strauss needs the splash hit counter to go up.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, you got any more takes on Rafael Devers? I assume the answer is yes, but we are 34 minutes into the conversation about Devers.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be getting into this more as the season progresses, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he looks like in a Giants jersey. That's going to be just weird to me.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I do have one more point. And this point is actually what I'm going to use as my transition. This entire trade happened without Devers requesting to be traded. This was it. Supposedly, he's very happy to be getting a change of scenery and be out of that clubhouse and away from Craig Breslow. It did seem like they were about to get into a fist fight if they ever saw each other in person. But Devers did not request a trade.